Hi folks, how are you doing? Baltic here with another speed build for The Sims 4. So today we are building a super modern 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on the 30 by 20 Daisy Hovel lot located in one of the neighbourhoods of Willow Creek. First off, the art style is absolutely my favourite in all of the sort of houses that I design. This is something that took me actually in game about 5 hours, so obviously this video is 20 minutes? It's sped up as fast as I can physically stand watching it, and even then I've had to cut a load out so that you folks don't end up getting sick watching it with us. So I've gone with quite a monochromatic colour palette, which is basically quite a obnoxious way of saying black and white. The reason that I wanted to build this lot is because there are so many objects in The Sims 4 that have black and white swatches, or pure black or pure white. I thought that basically I could probably build an entire lot with just black and white objects and kind of make it look like somewhere that someone would want to live in real life. In order to do that, obviously, I had a look on somewhere like Pinterest. The front of this house is inspired by a picture that I found on there, actually. I didn't go all out and copy the entire build because, well, there was only the front of the lot visible. So the rest of it I've just sort of imagined, especially the back garden. I really didn't know what to do with it at first, but as we get further on into the build, you will see the sort of things that I'm trying to accomplish with it. What I'm doing right now, though, is building the garage or garage. I don't know how people pronounce it, but to me it's a garage. I don't know why I'm bothering. Obviously, we don't have cars in the game yet. This is clearly something that a lot of people are up for contention about with the new Get Famous pack. Insofar as in that world, you can see a load of cars in the background. Personally, I don't really know whether I deserve an opinion yet, having only had 2 videos up on my channel, but I think that if they were going to incorporate cars, they would have to do it in a way that makes it fair for all the other lots that don't have access to roads. Obviously, I'm talking about the ones like the Get Together world, where they have that island. I think it's called the Bluffs, and there aren't any roads on there as far as I'm aware. So I don't know exactly how easy it's going to be for them to do that. However, I remain very optimistic because as far as I'm concerned, cars would be a fantastic addition to the game. I remember it was a stuff pack, was it not, in The Sims 3? And it came with that really cool, like, Volkswagen style car. Not Volkswagen, Rolls Royce. I know very little about cars, despite actually having a load of car salesmen in my family, but there we are. So I've been trying for a long time now to get the hang of using those struts that I'm placing now, the white ones. I think I'm going to change the colour of them now, because I know that they're architectural design struts, and I know that you can do really pretty builds with them, but I just haven't really gotten the hang of where to place them so that they look like they're actually holding something up. As far as I'm concerned with this build, this is the first time where I've used them in any way that makes it look like they were meant to be there. But as we go on in the build, I'm sure I start messing around with them, or maybe just placing them in different places to make them actually look right. Who can say? We'll see as we carry on with the build. Although, this is finally a chance for me to use interesting windows for once. I feel like in a lot of my builds, I stick to very thematic windows, particularly when it comes to building like Victorian houses. I never know how to actually put nice looking windows so they don't all look like really gothic vampire mansions. So that's something I definitely need to work on. In the same way, actually, as I need to work on my garage door building, because quite clearly that looks nothing like one. The trellis, something that I am actually building right now, is something that I'm quite proud of because I never knew that you could do stuff like this until I was watching YouTube builds. I mean, that just goes to show how small-minded I was when I actually started building. But just the way that the lighting works in The Sims 4, when you see the sun streaming through those little bars on the second floor, because there's no floor underneath them, it just creates a nice little pattern outside the house that looks all well lit and pretty. I'm trying to make notes on the build, and honestly, I just find myself watching it and forgetting that I actually built this. I'm not sure if that makes sense to anybody else, or whether anyone else has experienced that. Comment down below, folks, if that's ever actually happened to you. If you are a builder and you sat watching yourself, and you know it's yourself, because obviously this is my footage, but there are times where I just can't remember doing what I'm doing. Like, I can't remember placing any of these bushes, although, saying that, the number of times that I'm sure any landscapers out there will know, the number of times that you have to just shift click to place more and more shrubs, you eventually lose your brains. I think part of my brains are leaking out as we speak from talking about bushes for a whole 30 seconds. The garden actually is an open air garden. I don't know why, sorry, oh yeah, I'm actually reading all of these as notes, so if they ever come across a little bit confusing, I'm just repeating what I thought future Baltic would understand from past Baltic's writing. Definitely not working out for me, but we'll see if it can improve in the future. What I mean by the opener section is actually what I'm seeing right now. The garden greenhouse style roof, I was originally going to put a load of plants under it, but then I feel like a lot of builders, not necessarily all of them, but definitely quite a few, place the greenhouse glass roofs just over greenhouses, and I got a little bit bored, so I wanted to try something a bit different. Again, as I was talking about the lighting engine before, when you see the sunlight streaming through that glass panel onto the, I think it was a fire pit that I placed under there, I can't remember, but when you see the sunlight streaming through it, it actually does look really pretty. We'll see something like that in the comments. The comments? Screenshots. So I'm just going now and making sure that all of the landscaping for the lot is as correct as I can physically get it. But I remember at this point in time, I was losing my mind placing all of these shrubs yet again. And I find that when you're building, if you have like some music on in the background and you're just doing one monotonous movement, eventually start doing it to the beat of the song. And so I was really amusing myself by tapping along to the beat of Satisfaction. I can't do any of the song to remind you of what that song is because I'm sure that would either be copyright or some form of audio assault on your ears. Be that as it may, we might as well carry on talking about the build. So as we're coming back into the foyer now, or the entrance, this wall that has the staircase attached to it is definitely what I wanted to try and make into a feature wall. So I placed those mirrors just behind it. I don't know whether they can be used. I really doubt they can actually. But behind the staircase, I just thought it looked like a nice little aesthetic thing that I've definitely never done before. And I actually end up knocking through where that double door is on the right hand side. It ends up becoming a full archway, not archway because there's no arch there, but you know what I mean, a spacious gap that connects the living room to the entrance hall, and it all flows as one nice building. That rug, I don't know whether I'm a fan of this rug or not because it's a nice texture and it does look like it's going to be very soft underfoot. But as you make them bigger by holding down control and then pressing either the close bracket or the open bracket keys to make it obviously bigger or smaller respectively, it tends to have this really weird scaling effect and it just looks a little bit grubby instead. So I think I do decide to leave it, I can't remember. We will just see though. Obviously the rest of the things that have been placed in this entry room include the piano, the microphone, and a massive television. The reason that I put both of those objects in there is actually because I did have a feeling that this little pop idol sim teenager of mine is going to grow up and become a super celebrity as a famous singer. So my aim was to sort of get her skills up as a teenager, introduce her to the world of fame as an adult, and then have really posh dinner parties in this little dining area as she sings soft jazz in the background. Now that I say it, it really doesn't sound as fun as I expected it to in my head. It sounds like a lot of graft, but it will be worth it if any of you folks actually want to watch it. As I say, always comment down below with ideas that you want to see me build, if you have any whatsoever. I really hope that this is going to be more of an idea for you folks on exactly the sort of thing I do like building, because if you enjoy this, I am more than happy to build more of it for you. And so we are onto the kitchen. Now the kitchen's a little bit weird in so much as I've never built a full wraparound counter like that before. I say wrap around, it actually doesn't go around the entire kitchen, it stops just about there. But I've never built one that goes across the entire length as much as that. So I thought that that was quite a lot of counter space and it kind of ruined the way that the kitchen was set out. I don't know whether you folks agree or not, again let me know. But the more it gets built up and the more the counters and cupboards, that was the word, are placed above the counters, it starts to look a lot more cohesive and like a ultra modern kitchen. Looking at this now, I remember why I wanted originally to put the sliding doors exactly there, as weirdly I was just about to do. It's funny that, isn't it, when you're watching a build, you sometimes have thoughts of like, oh, I'd do that differently, or, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that. And then suddenly, 3 seconds later, exactly what you're talking about is performed. I've had that premonition in front of Chris like 5 or 6 times in builds, and he thinks that I'm in cahoots now with the creators. If only is all I can say to that. So yeah, the kitchen actually took forever. Overall, I think it's a strong contender for a good kitchen, because I definitely think the amount of detail that I've been putting like on the walls and inside the counters. Oh, that is one thing actually. I've not decorated all of the counters, only because I find that if so much as one thing is on a counter, the Sims stop using it, and so that's an entire space of potentially a 4-counter kitchen that you suddenly can't use. One of my favourite objects that I've placed in this kitchen actually is the nectar rack in the back corner. Obviously, this house would have a nectar rack in it. It's a single mum of 2, a teenager and a toddler. Would you not have a nectar rack if that was your family? Could you imagine having to wake up at stupid o'clock and feed and clothe a tiny Sim who's only ever interested in covering that vintage soft rug in the living room with acrylic paint like a teeny tiny Banksy? Not for me, thank you. Oh, and look where we are, back again with the balcony. or the walkway, whatever you want to call it. I just try and forget about it now. I really didn't know what to do in regards furnishing this area because, as far as I was aware, that was going to be a really tight gap that I didn't know whether the Sims would fit into it properly. So I do a little bit of jigging around and eventually end up with some sort of configuration that seems to work. As we're looking at the balcony though, we finally get an actual idea of what the floor plan is like because I'm, for once, keeping the camera a little bit still. So where we are now, on the left hand side we have got the toddler bedroom and on the right hand side we have got the teen bedroom. I'm just about to place this really weird plant. Yeah, that's the one. It came from City Living, but it's got this really weird back glow behind it. It doesn't actually serve any purpose other than just being there like as a little shape. I just thought that it'd have its own like light emission or whatever. Ah well. No point fretting over something so insignificant when there is building to do and furnishing to be done. We're now in the teens room. I tried to make it as adult as possible while also keeping a couple of little frills and spills in the corners just to give it, I don't know, some sort of warmth. I tend to find that without putting a lot of colours in the certain tiny corners of this build, it looked so cold. But then I realised cold isn't necessarily a bad thing, definitely given the type of person who lives here, some ruthless, stylish businesswoman who has just about enough time for both of her children. I thought this is exactly the sort of house that she'd want to live in. Imagine having dinner parties where people walk in and they just look around and go, yeah, this is your house, 100%, no question about it. That's exactly the sort of vibe I wanted to give off from the Sims who live here at the very least. But now we're back on into the toddler bedroom. Have you ever tried to decorate a black and white toddler bedroom? It is almost impossible. I finally gave in and used hints of colour with the, yeah, that's the thing, the mushroom style dollhouse. I thought there's got to be something that he can look at in the room, God bless him, because otherwise he'll go mental. Could you imagine trying to raise a child in a black and white bedroom? They would literally go stir crazy. But now we are on to the left wing of the house, which is entirely dedicated to the main Sims bedroom. This tiny little walk-in closet deal that I was trying to create, I think I just about got away with it, but it was a part of the build that I realised if I didn't do anything in it, it would be like a 4 or 5 tile space that was just unused, and it would be much more embarrassing to upload that than it would to just put something in it. I love that black and white rug that came with the fitness pack. It was not necessarily the worst pack in regards to furniture actually, because again, using hyper modern stuff, all of the pack, I've just realised as I've been watching this build, is used. All of the fitness stuff pack is definitely used in this build, bar the actual fitness objects. I don't think I can apologise for that, although I'm pretty sure I should. Ah well. This little section here is the office half of the main Sims bedroom. Obviously, I wasn't really sure about whether I wanted to turn this just into a separate room, but by keeping those two bowling night stuff dividers in the middle of the place, it does section it off effectively and keeps all of the light flowing through. I do wish I'd have left that corner sofa there now. I changed it and just put something a little bit more simple in place, but I don't think I've used that area of the room effectively. Not that it matters, because now that I've redone the design for the room, that's actually where all of the style influencer objects are, the draft table, etc. So not as much of a concern there. Speaking of the career, actually, this little front balcony, I imagine, is just her private zen space. Well, sorry, no, she's already got a zen space. This is her alternate zen space for when she's really struggling to do design, so she just like peers over the balcony and does like secret doodles. So now we're doing the main bathroom of the house, which isn't actually the main bathroom of the house. It is the owner of the house's ensuite bathroom, which actually is the only bathroom to have a bathtub in it. So whenever that toddler needs to get changed or cleaned, specifically cleaned, I have to like unlock the door because I've set it to lock so that the toddler can't just wander in by itself, wash the toddler, put the toddler back to bed. I don't know why I put myself through having a child. Like, this game can serve as the only experience I need to know that I should not be any form of dad anytime soon. Let's see if it changes in the future. For now, though, But it does the job, so I can't really complain. Well, we're back out in the garden now, and lo and behold, there are still more shrubs that I thought I placed, and it turns out I haven't, so I just finish off doing them now. And I believe the next thing to do is the fire pit, just underneath that little glass section. As I said before, I thought of doing plants there, and it didn't really strike me as the sort of household where she would look after plants as well as 2 children. Again, I just can't imagine if I was a mother that I could ever have the time to do that myself. But there are some super mums out there. And wouldn't you know it, we have reached the end of yet another video. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has gotten all the way through this and watched it through to the end. Please do support me by subscribing and follow me on Twitch and Twitter if you want to see more. Until next time though folks, take care of yourselves. See ya!